I am Jim Scott. I'm a historian, researcher, and writer. And one of the things that I write about most of the time is about the Old West. And I really like writing about a particular era when it was raw and there was no law. And there was a saying that there is no God west of St. Louis and no law west of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And what I'm going to read to you today, something that I had written, and it's about an outlaw and a deputy U.S. Marshal. The outlaw was Cherokee Ned Christie, and the deputy marshal is Bass Reeves. The outlaw Cherokee Ned Christie, a man with an unearned reputation and a dubious history. Many stories told about him were highly embellished after the storyteller had had a few shots of red-eye whiskey. They say he was more dangerous than a rattlesnake in a coil and harder to catch and hold as an eel swimming in oil. One hot, dry, and dusty day, just as the sun was going down, some of the townspeople of Chickasaw, Oklahoma, watched a tall, dark stranger come riding into town. He was riding real slow on a 19-hand-high bay, didn't speak a word to anyone. He was tired and hungry, and at the time, really had nothing much to say. But the next morning, word had gotten around. The stranger was a deputy marshal with a reputation of trailing and tracking better than a purebred bloodhound. "He's looking for some bad man," was the word whispered from each lip. They recognized him now as a lawman by the U.S. deputy marshal badge he was now wearing and that big .44 strapped to his hip. The marshal walked into the only saloon in town and started asking questions all around. Said he was looking for the outlaw accused of killing a U.S. Marshal. About that, the law is crystal clear. It is not prejudice. It is not partial. Said his name is Cherokee Ned, and I tracked him to this here town. And I have no doubt I'm here to take him in or take him down. The bartender said, "Now, boy, you know we don't serve your kind in here." The marshal said, "Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Barkeep," quickly grabbing his .44 and sticking it in the bartender's ear. "I do serve your kind, and it ain't whiskey, wine, or beer. I do it with this here paper and this here .44 sticking in your ear." One of the patrons at the bar said with a smirk and a grin, "Ha! I don't see no one taking Ned in. Ned swore an oath that he would not be taken alive." The marshal said, cutting him off, "I take it you be one of his friends. Will you get this word to Ned? I'm taking him back to Fort Smith alive or dead. Either way, I'm taking him in." The bartender said, "Why, boy, for 2 years, 4 lawmen and 24 counting their posses attempt to take him and fail. I just don't see you, one lone lawman, taking Ned, or nowhere in heaven or hell holding him long enough to lock him up in jail." After those 4 marshals with all of 20 men in their posse, he ain't in jail and he's still alive. Well, Mr. Deputy U.S. Marshal, look like you're going to be number 25. "Well," the marshal said, "you pilgrims just get word to him that Bass Reeves is coming and he's bringing Judgment Day. When we meet, I'll give him a second to die or a minute to pray." A hush fell over the bar room. A figure of a man came walking through the door, reaching for his gun, and said, "I'm Ned's," before he could finish what he was about to say and move from the shadow of the door. The shooting was done and the smoke had cleared. A body was lying in a pile like a sack of feed on the barroom floor, his left hand still holding his half-holstered .44. Now, no one dared to whisper. No one dared to speak a word. No one dared to guess. Is that Cherokee Ned lying there with 6 bullet holes in his chest? It cannot be. Up till now, no one was faster or more deadly than Ned with a gun. A closer look revealed that it was not Cherokee Ned Christie, It was Ned Christie's son, and that was part of his unfinished sentence before he was outgunned. Now, some men may be prejudiced and some may be partial. The word of the law is neither, and neither am I. I'm Bass Reeves, Deputy U.S. Marshal.